Hello, I'm Marie Laveria, and my channel is Living a Simple Life and Finding Your Rhythm LLC. Today, I want to talk about roles, the different roles that we play in our lives. Some people refer to them as different hats that we wear. Examples of roles are mother, grandmother, in my case, therapist, a sister. I'm trying to think of other roles. You know what I mean. Cashier, accountant, all the different roles that people play, all the different hats that we wear. Some of us have expired roles, and I don't know, maybe I didn't really think about it till I started thinking about roles in our lives, because roles really influence how we see the world and what people expect from us. It's important for us to know what roles we have, just because people will have an expectation of us if we have a specific role, such as me as a therapist. They have expectations when they meet with me as a therapist that, I'll keep everything confidential, I'll be professional. When we go to a cashier at the store, we expect her to know how to operate the cashier register or whatever, the machine that she's using to check out our products and that kind of thing. So expired roles are, for me, I'm no longer a niece and I'm no longer a daughter. My parents both died, and my last aunt passed away. I had many of them. She passed away about 4 months ago at 100. And I missed those roles because I had a good relationship with these people in my life, and now they're gone, and my roles are expired. So sometimes people have too many roles and they feel overwhelmed, and that's why it's important to make a list of all the roles that you know that you're playing in your life, all the hats you're wearing, so you can kind of figure out if you have too many of them. And sometimes we can eliminate some roles. Sometimes we didn't sign up for some of them and we have them. There's two examples I can give you here. One of them is the example that when I was in a relationship, both times, living with someone, I was expected to clean, do the laundry, and the cooking. That was a no-brainer, and it was never discussed. I just all of a sudden would find myself doing that. And I really didn't want to do it all by myself because, it should be shared. I was working full-time just like the partner. And so sometimes we fall into a role that we don't, ask to fall into. So I started thinking about, what is it about me that just falls into that role? And I figured out how to avoid that in the future. So sometimes when we have roles that we fall into without asking to be in there or discussing it or whatever, it's because could be we have not good self-esteem or low confidence, and people automatically take advantage of us, or it could be any of these things. My camera's shaking here because my dog we had a big snowstorm and we're in the middle of it right now. It's still falling. And so he's a little hyper about the snow falling. So I'm sorry about that wiggle. I've discovered, too many roles, feeling overwhelmed, things that we didn't sign up for. So sometimes parents have a disabled child. They didn't sign up for that, and they have to care for that child because they love that child. Or sometimes it's people having an elderly relative, parent that needs care, and they didn't sign up for that either, but someone has to do it, and sometimes they might be the only child, or maybe not. And if these roles become too much, it's important for people to seek out support through other family members or social service agencies that have help for these kinds of services. My heart goes out to people that fall into those categories. When living a simple life, it's important to make a list of our roles and look at them and judge whether we want to continue having this role in the way we are, maybe changing things. Maybe we've outgrown the role or outworn it, or it doesn't fit us anymore. All these things are important questions to ask ourselves when it comes to the roles that we play, the hats that we wear in our lives. It's important to embrace the roles that feeds our souls and allows us to live the life that we desire. There are some roles that are very healthy for us to have and wonderful. And for myself, my professional role is something I enjoy. I love the role of being a minimalist. It does bring me joy. Living a simple life to me is a spiritual practice. It's something that gives my life meaning. So the other thing I want to talk about the roles is when you have a role and then you have these expectations that other people put on you for that particular role. Like in our culture today, there's a lot of grandparents raising their grandkids, doing free childcare and spending their entire life picking up from school, bringing to sports events, and their entire life revolves around their grandkids. Now, if they signed up for that, that's great. But not all grandparents see their roles as grandparents that way. So sometimes there'll be children with kids that will expect their parents to have that kind of vision of their role as grandparents. And if it doesn't fit you, then that's something that needs to be talked about and discussed. Low self-esteem and low confidence, as I said earlier, can influence what other people might expect from us. So it's important for us to work on that, make our self-esteem and confidence at a healthy level, so we can set healthy boundaries in our lives. Very important thing to do for self-care. Having healthy boundaries is a form of self-care. So I invite everyone to look at their roles, make a list of them, judge whether that role is healthy in your life, if it needs adjustment. As we age also, our roles change. We have less energy and we need to slow down. I mean, I'm 66 and I don't have the energy I had when I was 40. So I had to make adjustments from working 5 days a week down to 3 and now down to 2. So my role is changing as a therapist. I'm like semi-retired now, so to speak. I only work 2 days a week. So our roles change that way. And it's important for us to be open to that for our own health. So when living a simple life, I found that I experienced a lot of freedom, a lot of peace, and a lot of joy. And in my roles, I adjusted them to fit my life so that I would continue feeling these peacefulness and freedom and joy. So I feel freedom from having less possessions. I have less to think about, less to care for. Peace because I have less to do and more time. And my life's at a slower pace. So when my life was at a fast pace, I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. And the joy comes in when having time to create and do things that gives me joy. When you do less, when you slow down, when you allow your life to have some space between things, then you can do things that really, feed your soul. And that's where joy comes in, meaning in your life. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.